Real lives, real people, no identity pod. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching and listening to this, and welcome to another episode of the Non-Identity Podcast. Now today we're joined with someone who's tried to dabble a bit in the music industry and released an album all by himself. Self-promotion, self-investment, and quite successful. I would personally say I love the music on there. He doesn't like to be referred to as a rapper, he's a storyteller. It's Mr. Jay Martin. Hi Jay, welcome to the show.
What's happening?
So, bit of a disclosure.
Yep.
Me and you have known each other throughout the last 25 years.
Yep.
Worked together a little while, grew up together a bit.
Yep.
We'll talk about the music later, but first of all, let's start off. Where was you born and where did you grow up?
Greenwich Hospital. It's not there no more. It's a library and a sports centre and some flats now, so that's gone. But yeah, I was born in Greenwich, sort of grew up in South East London. I would say it's probably easier because of all the different areas that we've lived in and sort of moved around in. So yeah, sort of Woolwich, Plumstead, Mum's on Cherry Orchard. A minute, stayed there for a bit.
Football fan?
Yep. Yeah.
Team?
What?
Team?
I'm Charlton.
Okay.
Yeah,
Someone's got to be.
Yeah, someone's got to be. I was an Arsenal fan when I was a kid, like the George Graham days. And it's only mainly because when the stepfather come along, that's only when the Charlton come along. But yeah, I do love Charlton for all my sins. For all my sins, yeah. Had some ups and downs, but yeah.
And didn't you play with Charlton for a little while as a kid, like Junior Reds, weren't
it? It was a community team.
Community team, yeah.
Sort of, we played semi-pro teams. I wouldn't say that we was a semi-pro team, but we played against them, like people that was getting paid. We got up to the sort of Kent. But yeah, it started off as like some football coaches from Charlton, some community sort of coaches, and we just got some kids off the street and a few mates, and we did alright with it, to be fair.
Yeah? Was it enjoyable? Or?
I loved it. Football's my passion. It's my religion. That's where I go on a Sunday. That's what I do. I wish I didn't sometimes, I'm not going to lie, obviously. But yeah, I'm very passionate about my sports.
Okay, so like I said earlier, we've worked together a bit, so we both work in the field with special needs students.
Yeah.
What made you go into that field?
It was an accident, if I'm honest. Working with young people in general was an accident. I remember growing up, I always wanted to be an accountant, but I'm not very good at maths and I'm not very good in an office either. So
you work in a school instead? So
yeah, I went completely opposite way. It was almost like don't be like me. But yeah, so it was Charlton again. So I did a session with, it was called Charlton Athletic Race Equality back then.
Recording in progress.
And I only did that back then because of the free tickets for Charlton. And then I worked the young people, quite enjoyed the course. It was like a sports leaders award or something. It was good. And then someone that was there, a lady called Michelle, she sort of said, oh, would you like to do a bit of coaching or work with young people? And that's how it sort of, and it just sort of escalated from there really. Got offered a job in a behavioural school. I really enjoyed working with them because they reminded me a little bit of me sometimes. And then I sort of went from there to there and I landed in a couple of SEN schools, which I really enjoyed, to be fair, yeah. And
when we worked together, we was in our 20s. How did your mates take to you working with children? Because I know I used to get a lot slapped down the pub. Being a male in a children's environment and education.
Yeah. I never really got that, if I'm honest. No, I never got that. What I got was, how do the kids part with you?
Yeah.
Because I've got ADHD myself, so I'm always sort of bouncing around, sitting here at the minute. Like you can feel yourself getting agitated at the time. And I terrorise. And I don't. I do not discriminate. I terrorise everyone. So so sometimes they think like, how do they put up with you? But they also know what sort of person I am anyway. So I'm a helper. I like to help people as much as I can. And when you're in that sort of line of work, as you know, the money ain't great, but you ain't there for the money. Like,
no, exactly.
It's the fact that you get the feeling from working with young people that give you something back. So it was just an accident, literally 3 Charlton tickets, and then a snowball effect, and then here I am today. Yeah.
I remember one summer scheme we worked on. We set up the playground for a water fight. Yeah. With the kids, and we filled up the green bins, the water, and we said to the kids, right, the only rule is you fill up your guns and that in the green bin. Yeah. We're in charge of the hose, we're in charge of the buckets. As soon as you said go, you picked me up, dumped me head first, and it started spraying with the hose.
Yeah,
so the kids loved that so much. The fact that we got so involved.
Yeah. I think it shows, the kids give you so much, so sometimes you need to give them a little bit something back.
Exactly.
Like, I used to hate when you used to go into school and people say, oh, don't really tell them too many personal things. And I get it, don't get me wrong, they're not my mates and I'm not going to start going down the pub with them, but they need to know a bit of me, because otherwise how are they going to relate to anything? And I think that's why we're good at what we do. We can relate to young people in certain ways. So, and they take to that. So you got to have a laugh. You got to enjoy it.
Exactly. I think we're very streety people. We're not academic mediums. So I think our experiences we can pass on to the young people and make the topics more relatable.
Yeah.
So like, sort of like we've been in situations from where we've grown up and that we've seen gang cultures and violence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we can pass that on to the young people, because if you're just reading it from the book, they're going to be like, this is a load of rubbish.
100%.
So I totally agree. You're not going to sit there and tell someone your address or anything.
No.
But you're also going to say, I know what you're going through, because when I was younger, X, Y, and Z happened.
100%, yeah.
So,
and I truly believe that, because it's, when you say, I understand, and then but do you? I was hating when people say to me, like, I understand what you're going through, I understand this, and what have you been through it then, or do you know someone close to you? And they're like, no.
No, exactly.
Like, how do you understand him? Like, that don't make no sense.
Like you just said, you're diagnosed with ADHD yourself.
Yeah.
I've worked 20 years with students also with ADHD, but I still can't sit here and say I understand what you're going through, because I've only seen it as an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
I've not lived with the condition. Living with that condition, how do you... I hate saying the word condition, because it's not a condition.
Yeah,
living with that barrier, really.
Yeah.
How have you worked your way around things? Because being in education, we're passing things on to the young people.
Yeah.
So it obviously hasn't affected you. So how have you worked around the barrier of having ADHD?
I think it depends how you take it. Like, I didn't know growing up through school. It was only that I worked in a behavioural school, and there was a young fella going through with it, and I did the tick box with him. And, you know, you're sitting there and you're thinking, like, I'm ticking more boxes than him, sort of thing. So I knew I was always hyper. I always knew I had bags of energy.
Was you classed as a naughty kid in school because no one understood?
On the borderline, I'd say on the borderline, yeah. I was the cheeky chappy that sometimes got in trouble. But then I was always quite smart. I always said, like, only silly people get caught. But no, yeah, I was a cheeky chappy, I would say, more than anything. But that obviously gets you in trouble a lot of the time as well. But it's the sitting still. When I should say to Sir, like, honestly, I can't concentrate for more than a half hour on one thing. Like, what can I do about that? And obviously they didn't understand that back then, so it was a lot different. But I'm glad that the support's there now.
Because that's a bit different. I suffer with dyspraxia, so it's not dyslexic, so I can read, but my writing's like a 5-year-old, and my spelling and punctuation's no even bother.
Yep.
But I always got told I was lazy in primary school, because I never got diagnosed until I was 16, I never did the test.
Yep.
And I always just got told I was lazy. I was the lazy kid, I couldn't bother to write. I didn't put no effort in. And in secondary school, in art, my work was used as an example, not what to do.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it just lowered my confidence a lot, because there's 30 students, your teacher's taking the mick out of what you've tried to do.
100%.
So I know when I work, bringing it into what I do, I try not to tell anyone whatever they do is wrong.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So do you sort of do the same thing if you're sitting there with someone really hyperactive and stuff?
Yeah.
Are you tell them to sit still, or do you just allow them to...
It depends what you're doing and where they is. Like, you've got to obviously, I think what's good is we've done this for so many years, that when we go into a situation now, we can draw on loads of experience and we say what worked in the past or what could work now. So, but you've got to think of things really quick. So sometimes if he's in a test, he can't get up and run around. Right. So he's either got to sit in his zone or he's got to be allowed a timeout, you know. But these are planning that you're putting forward before. But then it's about showing the young person they can do it. But once they start doing it, it becomes a lot easier for them. But there's still the energy in the ball, and you can't contain that. It's like, I mean, it's like Mentos in a Coke and just doing it. You can sit there for a bit and it ain't moving, but you know sooner or later that's going to go bang. Exactly. And that's the way it is sometimes with it.
And talk about things going bang. We've been in some hairy situations in the past. Is there anything that sticks in your mind, as in a behaviour incident that you've had to deal with in school? So I had an incident where, I don't know why, but someone from our school club decided to put potato knives in the outdoor cupboard that had no roof. So we had a student kicking off.
Yeah. He's
climbed over, grabbed hold of his knives, come back over like Wolverine with his knives between him, and he wanted to kill the teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm standing at the door like that, and he's got the knives in my face like that, saying move. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, I can't do that. And he's like, move. And I know if I let him through, he was going to go and stab that teacher.
Yeah.
So that's like my main thing that really sticks out, mate. Is anything sort of similar that way?
Yeah, I remember I was in a school, an SEN school, and a young lad climbed up to the top of he was on top of the roof, and like he was saying he was going to jump. No one could tell me no different. I slipped up from behind and just grabbed the kid round the waist and there was like a barrier at the top of on the top of the school roof. I sort of dragged him over, got him down, spoke to him, calmed him, got him, like, we climbed down together, everything was alright. And then I got pulled to the side and said, like, you should never do that. And he was like, why is that? Because if you had gone to grab him and he fell, and it would have been your fault. I'm like, okay, but I'm not thinking about that, am I, when I'm going up there trying, like, see if he's alright. I think that for me, heart pounding side of things, like, I've been attacked by the kids and whatever, but a lot of them are just venting. They're just angry. Some of them, they just need to let loose. And sometimes it's alright for them to do that, but it's the way they do it. And
exactly.
yeah, he's.
And I remember once, I don't know if you worked with the same student in the school that we both worked in, when we used to take him out, he used to lay in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
In Zebra Crossing.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, help me, they're hurting me, phone the police, phone the police.
Yeah.
And you'd have all these strangers looking up and they'd just be staring at you like that, and you're trying to help him up, and he'd just go, phone the police, phone the police.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if you've ever noticed, it's like, you'd always think someone would step in from the public, but people do just walk by, don't they?
It's the badge.
Yeah.
It's been a few times though, because I hate wearing the badge.
Yeah.
And it's always a bright colour or whatever, and I know it stands out, it is self. But sometimes when I'm on a one-to-one or a small-sided group, sometimes I don't want to look like that I'm just disafforded. Like, sometimes it's like it puts a sign on them almost.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll walk with whatever, but there was a young lad before and he just went absolutely bananas. And then when the people are looking around, I've then, because they started coming towards us, I've then had to put my badge on to then say, no, it's alright, I'm with them, I'm not trying to terrorise them. Like, because it's the badge, once they see it and they go, okay, it works, that's fine. But as soon as they turn around and they see me, especially like more than a tracksuit and a cap or something, they're like, what's this dodgy dude doing with these kids? And I'm just like, oh, 1 minute, no, put that on. Yeah, no, honestly, I work.
No, exactly. So where I work now, we had a student that we used to have to transport home at lunch times because we could only do half days. But he used to get really violent about getting in the car. And this one time, he managed to run down to the car park, and me and the head teacher, we both had to use our team teacher help to try and get him in the car.
Yeah. Drove
off, took him home, come back. As we turned the corner, police cars pulled up, and went to the driver and said, like, we've got a report of 3 men bundling a kid into this van. Where's the kid? Where's the kid? So he's like, I had to explain exactly what had happened and all that, and then we like, came from like the school's just there and all this stuff, showing our badges and all that, and they said we were 15 minutes away from phoning the SO19, you know, the gun police, and treated it as a proper kidnapping case. Oh, mate, so you know, you're just like, it's just crazy sometimes, like the situations you get put in. So that's what work. So you've moved away from education now. So what type of thing are you doing at the moment?
I work for Children's Services in the borough.
Was that just family support and stuff?
That's family support worker. Yeah, that's
enjoyable. Was it completely different from?
I'm a helper. I really enjoy helping people, and I think in this job there's such a vast array of things that you can help people with. Sometimes it's a bit heavy on top, like with the load and things like that, but we've got a great unit that I work with, and we sort of support each other. But yeah, as I said, I really enjoy helping people, and I love that side of the job.
And do you think, since leaving education and doing this side of things, have you learned a lot more new skills, or is it using the old skills you had from education into home life?
I think it's a bit of both actually, because I did so many different jobs growing up, football, coaching, and it was always with young people, but loads of different aspects of it. And I almost wanted to find a job where I can channel all that knowledge and all those different things into one job. This is probably that job where it's got so many, we get referrals in, and it can be anything.
Yeah.
So you are drawing, but at the same time I'm learning so much stuff about like systemic way of thinking and working like in a holistic approach where you're thinking about everyone. Sometimes where I was before, I was like a behavioural sort of person.
Yeah.
So I had like loads of kids coming towards me, but it was always just that kid. Yeah. So I could like half help them. But once I send them back home again, it's all getting undone.
Yeah.
With this job, you're working with everyone
involved,
and it ain't just putting the kid at the blame of everything, which I really like the systemic style of it. Like, so I never knew about none of this beforehand. I just always used to think, well, I've got this young person, how can I help him? I'll do whatever he needs to be fixed at the minute, and then I send him on his way, and then he's coming back next 2 weeks with the same sort of problems. And obviously there's something somewhere else that's causing a problem.
Yeah.
I can't do that in education. I can't go and always fix the outside problem. Sometimes, but not always. But
there's so many rules in education, isn't there? There's so many things you've got to follow.
Yeah.
Because you've got to teach a curriculum, and then you've got to have classroom management. Even though the guys we've worked with or work with, they're at our centres or our settings for a reason, because they can't cope in mainstream.
Yeah.
But then things are set up. Even when Ofsted come in, you're marked against mainstream standards.
Yeah.
So that young person's failing even before they walk through the door.
Yeah.
So it must be so much better to be able to follow through. Like you said, you used to have to give them back after 6 hours, everything's done.
Yeah.
Where this way you can just spend the time to do what you need to do to help that young person out.
But if I could mash up the two jobs, as in, like, because at the minute, because you get X amount of families, you can only have X amount of time a week. So,
Okay.
but whereas when I was in education, I might be seeing 300 kids, say, for instance, but I'm seeing them every day.
Yeah.
So it's like it's if you could mix what you can do here, but see them just as much as you see, it is impossible, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you could mix them together, that's a perfect job. It's just because then you've got the time to actually sit down. And sometimes you just want to spend the whole week with a family, but you can't because you've got X, Y, and Z to still go and see and do what you're doing. But it's just about managing your time. But,
Okay, so music now.
yes.
Another passion of yours?
Music is my first love, I would say. Even before football, I think it just does something to me. You know, sad songs make me sad, and happy songs make me happy. Like it's just it gets
helps
me
with your
emotional
mood
side.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
100%. I have to genuinely. I don't think my missus and a few other people know, but I listen to music every night to go to sleep. I have to ever since I was a kid because my brain, obviously, with the ADHD, sometimes just starts thinking about random things. So if I've got music on, I can sort of tune into the music. But yeah, so music's a big part of my life. Yeah.
And what style of music would you say when you're recording the stuff you do? Obviously, you said you're not a rapper.
Yep.
But so what sort is it? Sort of hip hop, R&B, is it a bit of everything?
Yeah, I would say it was probably along the lines of rapping, I suppose, in a sense, the style of music. But I used to write songs with no music, so I would write in a format that I know that it went over a certain beat or whatever. So sometimes I'd write a song on just my emotion rather than the music, and sometimes someone would send me a beat, and I'd get a feeling from the song and write it to that. So I don't know, if I'm honest. I'm going around the houses here, but I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know. When we did the album, we was even thinking about some 80s zip along thing, like trying to make it sound a bit poppy, like 80s pop. But I don't know how it went. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
That's alright. But when it comes to writing a song, what's the process? Like, do you have an idea first and work around it, or do you have a line and then come out of the line to then go?
I think it's organic. You could want to talk about something. You could just be, I could just be walking along sometimes, and then I could just be like, I don't know, thinking of something, I'm messing around, and then I think of a chorus, and then from the chorus I'd write the verses after that. But yeah, it all depends. I might then think of a word, I really like a word, how can you put that into a line, and then that transforms into many different things, I suppose.
And what gave you the idea to start the album? Like, was it just like you made a song, thought I enjoyed this, I'll make some more, or what was the main push behind?
It was a counselling session, if I'm honest. The first song I ever wrote, it was about my biological father, and it literally I was just getting things off my chest, and it all come from counselling. I was doing a bit of counselling, and the lady said, "You do poetry?" And I said, "No, I don't really do poetry." She said, "Try a bit of poetry, it might make you feel better." Just, you know, and I was a bit muggy, but I'll try it. This is in secondary school, the end of secondary school, coming up to college, and I just started writing silly little things, but poems about whatever, and I would screw them up and throw them away. And every time I was writing, I was realising, even though I was throwing away, it was like a symbolisation. I was just getting rid of whatever bad energy I had. I was trying to just sort of get rid of it because I'm quite a positive person. But so that's how it started, really. Just feelings on paper.
Okay, so the track that I personally really enjoyed, I've listened to it 1,000 times to be honest, is Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
What was that about, and what?
So that was my, I suppose you'd call him stepdad.
Yeah.
We used to call him Daddy Del or Daddy O. He loved the music as well. There's a song called It's You, it's like a clubby track, it was like his favourite one. So when I started doing the music to start off with, he was the one that always used to like push me and try and do things. So he sadly passed away about 5 years ago, and then with some money that he had behind, I'd always said I was going to do an album. I had loads of songs sort of written down. So we went to a studio, me and my friend who does the singing, and with the money that he had left us, we literally poured it all into the album, and then we called it #Doing It for Del. So that was the name of it. But that was the reason behind the song. So same sort of thing, when he passed away. I think I've written that about 5 days after he passed away.
Yeah.
Finished it in a couple of days. And I know it sounds whatever, everyone deals with things in different ways, but as soon as I finished the song, I don't know, like I didn't go through the mourning process. I'd released something, and I really enjoyed what I sort of wrote and the message I was trying to bring. So yeah, it was like a counselling session. But that's what it was about.
And do you think because of you probably didn't feel that way because it's something that he would wanted you to do. You've done it.
Yeah.
So there's no point mourning about it because you're doing exactly what he wanted you to.
Probably gutted that it took for him the past before I wrote a song about him, because he was such an influential fella, such a positive man in my life as well, and sort of, if I wouldn't be the person I am today without him, he sort of taught me quite a lot. So it was, it was a good symbolic song, but it's weird because I've generally had people, you know, like you've got Facebook friends from like school and whatever, you know, like just people that you don't really speak to a lot. I've had so many people when I sort of put it out there, because it was on his year anniversary, I decided to put it up. I did like a little video. I put it on Facebook. I don't really like putting it on Facebook, so it took me a lot to put it on there. But then I had loads of people coming back like, "Oh, Jay, like it resided with me because of it might have even been their granddad that was more like their dad, or someone else that was more like their dad." So someone been through a similar path, and they was like just connecting and just saying like, "Thank you very much," and it was weird. That was weird. People saying thank you for writing about my story, you know, like so then it almost brought it up.
But I think, as men, we find it hard to talk about grieving and stuff like that. So you're a young man.
Yeah.
Your story told not in my way, call it back because they don't like it.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what our generation sort of listened to, like the garage and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
And then you were speaking about a loss. So I think that's where I felt it connected. Because in a way, I know my granddad died years before Adele did. But it sort of reminded me of that when I was listening to the track.
Yeah.
So he brought that back up, and it sort of made me happy thinking about it. It weren't a sad thought. It was that because it's a lively song, and your mate sings as well. He's got a really nice voice for the chorus as well and stuff. So everything was just right, I think. And if you don't mind, I'll put the link in.
No, 100%.
So this so people can listen to.
I forget sometimes it's out there. I think the album's still on iTunes. I don't even know. I think it's still on there after because you paid for a couple of years or whatever it is. But yeah, The Man in the Moon. Even the story, like I don't know, just because my little nephew had a massive connection with him as well. Like my sister's youngest. My sister's eldest Will did obviously, but he was the youngest one, so they had a really good connection. And when he passed, he was quite young, and that's where we said he was the man in the moon basically. So that's where it all sort of come from, and it's still with us now. And it's been quite even that. I know it sounds weird again, but people travel the world and whatever, and they'll send a picture of my mum, like the moon, like thinking of you. So we've almost connected loads of people now just with a saying that we said for the little man, like.
And I know probably at the time you didn't think of that, but no matter where you are in the world, you always see the moon.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone's looking at the moon, so it's just one thing, the same thing. Yeah, no, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's one thing that we all across the world see.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's a good little thing to.
100%. You could be anywhere in the world. Of an evening, you're going to see it, right? You know, unless you sound like in your cloud. But it's there anyway. You know it's there, yeah.
Exactly. Talking about people with the world and all that, you travelled around the world, didn't you?
I did a bit of travelling,
Yeah. Where did you go and how did you find that?
I loved it. 100% I loved it. I've always been a sort of, I don't want to say like, I don't know, I move around a lot, or I did when I was younger.
We can't sit still, can
you? So for me, it was proper ideal. I think in about a 10, 11, 12 year span, I must have done over 30 countries. The actual travelling bit, I did like a year and a bit or whatever it was, or just.
I remember we was working together. You left to go travelling and you come back a year and a half later.
Yeah. So we just went on a mad journey. But started in places. We went to Africa and done a few countries in Africa. We was going through in India, Thailand, Malaysia.
What sort of countries surprised you? Like you thought, I don't really want to go here, but I want to see it. And then you turned up there and thought it was like fantastic, right?
I don't know, because you know when I was like such a kid, like, especially when I knew I was going, it was something I'd always wanted to do, like, and finally sort of managed to get together. And I think India, sort of in a sense, when I went there, I was meant to be there for 3 months, and after a month I was like, I've had enough of this, see you later, like, and sort of left. But in the same breath, it was like, I loved it one day, like severely loved it, then I hated it next day, then I loved it, then I hated it, then I loved it. So overall, it was a bit of a weird journey, but I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did on a whole. Like some of the stuff they got there is phenomenal, like, and the people that you meet there are just incredible as well.
So as you said, because you was like so young when you did it, would you like to do it again? Now you're older and a bit more wiser.
If I could go tomorrow, I'd go. I was joking with the missus, but there's a lot of truth in jest when we was sort of saving for the mortgage, and we had that sort of lump sum. I was like,
there's a plane.
You know, like we could go for a year and a bit if you want. She's like, we'll come back to no house, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but we'll worry about that when we come back. We've had a great time.
No, exactly. Right, just before we go, I'm going to ask one last question I ask everyone.
Go on.
So this answer will not change the outcourse of your life journey.
Right.
But what would you say to, if you had 30 seconds with your younger self,
Yeah.
teenagers, what would you say to yourself?
Keep doing what you're doing, bruv. You will get there eventually. Read a few more books. That's about it, bruv. Yeah, I've never changed anything. I won't change anything else.